Joining us today is Union Power Minister Mr. RK Singh to speak about the recent debate around the subject of freebies and also the uproar that Parliament witnessed towards the last leg of the monsoon session over the centre introducing the Electricity Amendment Bill in Parliament and then, of course, recommending sending it to a standing committee. Mr. Singh, I'll in fact, speak about the freebies subject at the moment because that's the topical issue. It came up in the Supreme Court today as well. The Supreme Court has asked for affidavits to be filed to understand everyone's position. But as far as the central government is concerned, because there's been so much of politicking around the subject, where do you stand on the subject of freebies?
I'll just give you some facts. You see, as far as the freebies are concerned, let me explain to you the overall construct. The overall construct is that when Mr. Kejriwal or any other person announces that I will give free this, free that, he is not the one who is giving it. It's the taxpayer. They don't pay. It's the taxpayer who bears the burden of that freebie. So it's not Mr. Kejriwal giving it. It's the taxpayer of Delhi, number one. Number two, you see the tax resources or the revenue resources of the government are fixed and finite. So for example, let us say that Delhi government gets 1,000 crores as tax, non-tax revenues. Now that's the money which he can spend. Now there's a choice. Either he can spend it on, by giving, the freebies to different people. Okay, I'll give free this, free that, free that. Now, and he can spend the entire 1,000 crores on giving free money to other people. Now, distributing free goods to people. That does not leave any money for investments for the future. So then, if he distributes all this money, there will be no money left for construction of roads. There will be no money left for construction or expansion of hospitals, construction or expansion of schools, or putting in place stronger transmission systems for the future, stronger, the more generation systems for the future. There will be no money left for that. So basically, what needs to be placed before the people is that total finances available with the concerned state. How much of that they want to distribute free to which sections? You see, they give freebies to buy votes. It's actually buying votes. And they're buying votes not your own money, but using the public money, taxpayers' money. So they are trying to buy votes using taxpayers' money. So that math needs to come out before the people. That this is the total budget available for expenditure. Out of this much I want to distribute. This much I will keep for construction of roads, canals, transmission system, building for the future, more schools, more hospitals, bigger hospitals. So then the people can choose. That is the basic question. These people don't do that.
So
that is one thing.
Okay.
So that is one thing.
Okay.
That is one aspect. So that's why the type of announcements which these people do to buy votes is actually nefarious, I would call it, and that's why the Supreme Court is exercised about it. There's another angle to it. For example, let's take the power sector. Now today, my consumption, demand and consumption of electricity in energy terms is 1,450 billion units a year. That's the actuals. And my established capacity for power generation is 403 gigawatts. That means 400,000 megawatts, 403,000 megawatts. Now, according to our Central Electricity Authority, looking at the rate of growth, our requirement for power will go from 1,450 billion units to 2,900 billion units in 2030, more than double. So it will more than double. And the capacity required for that will be 820,000 megawatts, more than double what it is. So that means about 400,000 megawatts capacity has to be established between now and 2030. If we don't, there will be blackouts. Now, that is difficult now. You know why? Because the total outstanding of the dues on account of power supplied and not paid for by the distribution companies is 1,10,000 crores. Now it would have gone up to about 1,20,000 crores, number one. And you know why it's outstanding? that 1,20,000 crores.
Right.
The states need to pay 1,30,000 crores to their distribution company. So they haven't paid that. Out of that, 72,000 crores is on account of subsidy, which they announced they have not paid. And about 65,000 crores is on account of their government department dues, which they have not paid. So they have not paid about 1,35,000, 1,40,000 crores to their distribution companies, and the distribution companies have not paid for the power which they consumed. Therefore, the generation gets into stress. You recall, and our generation system was in stress.
Yeah.
In 1819, it was a major stress. In fact, a number of companies went bankrupt. The financial system lost about more than 10,000 crores. This was the reason, because the power dues were not paid. And so, as a result of this power dues not being paid, there is no investment which is forthcoming. Right now, I have capacity under construction about 28,000 crores. There are 28,000 megawatts of thermal. Not one is private. Not one. Because no bank or financial institution is willing to lend. And I don't blame them. Because if they lend to construct a power plant and the power doesn't get paid for, their loan will go bad again. So that is, and if no investment comes, then no capacity addition takes place. No capacity addition takes place, we become an area of darkness worse than Sri Lanka. So that is why these people, are actually, virtually I will call them anti-national. They are not bothered about what happens to the country in the long term. They only want to, sort of use the taxpayers' money to buy votes and get into power. That's the shameful thing.
Those are very strong words that you're using.
Yes. And I'm using them very responsibly. I told you, I need to add 400,000 megawatts by 2030. And banks and financial institutions are not willing to lend. And I don't blame them, because the part does not get paid for.
But the Aam Aadmi Party says that it is their constitutional duty to provide for these services in order to create an equitable society.
You see, follow me. Whatever they provide for is not from their pocket. For example, it's not Kejriwal who's giving this. It's the taxpayer. So the tax, revenues which are available for expenditure is limited, right? Now, if you want to spend all of it, number one, you have to keep your expenditure within that. The borrowing of many states are very near bankruptcy, are very near becoming impecunious, because their borrowing has almost equaled their loan repayments have also almost, their borrowings are equal to their GDP. So that is, one is that they can't spend more than what budget they have. The second is that even if they use all the money which they get in the budget for giving freebies, that needs to be told to the people. The people should be told that, look, my budget is 1,000 crores. I am spending all these 1,000 crores on giving freebies. I don't have any money left for construction of roads. I don't have any money left for construction of hospitals. I don't have any money left for construction of schools. I don't have any money left for construction of transmission lines or for adding, the more transmission capacity. Bring it to the people. They don't do that. So they just say that I'm going to give you 400 units of power, as if he's giving it from his home. Taxpayers' money. And then he must tell the people that, look, this is the total budget which I have, and this I'm using for giving freebies, and this I will keep for construction of roads or whatever, for the future. Unless and until you provide for growth, the economy won't grow.
You're basically saying he's anti-national and that he's lying to the people.
Now, what I'm basically saying is that he's not bothered about what happens to India in the long run. He's just bothered about getting into power now. That's what I'm saying. If no
freebies should be...
if no investment comes in the India power sector, for example, India will be in darkness, because the demand will keep growing. And suppose the demand grows, you're not able to provide for it, there will be blackouts. And once that happens, then no industry will come in any case, because you won't have power.
So freebies should be done away with altogether?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there has to be a balance. For example, the poorer children, they need to get free education, yes. the poorer people, they need to get the assistance for their treatment, like we have. Ayushman Bharat Yojana. That is necessary, absolutely. But I mean, it should not be used beyond your resources. You should be limited within your resources. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so you...
And no, what I'm saying is that there should be transparency. Let every state government, and that I think is something which needs to be enshrined in law. Let every state, let every political party which announces their agenda or whatever manifesto and announces freebies, let them give a paper to the people that these are the revenues, these are the expenditures, and this is the balance left in this state budget for expenditure, and this is how I am going to use it.
Okay, so
Then
you're...
the people will have an informed choice.
So you're making a differentiation between freebies and welfare measures, is
Yes,
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm also saying that there has to be transparency.
Transparency.
So
you tell the
must-
people how much
must
you're
tell-
using and
you
where
must
it's
tell the
coming
people-
from.
Give the people this information. Number one, that you are not giving it. Number two, that it is coming out of the budget. Number three, that this is the money available in the budget for all works, whether it is roads or buildings or canals or drinking water, building more drinking water pipelines or transmission lines or hospitals. This is the total money available. Out of this, this much money I will give for freebies, and this I will spend on hospitals, roads, whatever.
Okay.
And let the people know.
Okay. So speaking about the electricity...
Otherwise, what will happen is what is there in the power sector, that you have outstanding dues of 1,10,000 crores on account of power supply that you have not paid for it. It's 130,000 crores not paid by the states to their own discoms. Yeah? You announced it, you haven't paid for it.
Speaking of the electricity amendment bill, sir, you introduced it in the Lok Sabha and then, of course, recommended sending it to the standing committee. One of the objections was that it was decided between the centre and the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha that this bill will not be introduced on the floor of the House.
No, our understanding is, now let me tell you, make it very clear. There is nothing in this bill. I repeat, there is nothing in this bill which concerns the farmers at all. The whatever subsidies the farmers are getting, whatever subsidies the state wants to give, there is absolutely nothing in the bill which stops it or reduces it in any way. You want to give more subsidies, any state wants to give more subsidies, they can go right ahead. There is nothing in the bill to stop that or to reduce it or to constrain it, either way. So that is not being touched.
Okay.
That is, yeah.
So subsidies to farmers, subsidies directly given to consumers by state governments, whatever,
subsidies
nothing?
to farmers, subsidies to weaker sections, etc., are not being touched.
Okay.
They will continue, they can continue as they are. If the state government wants to increase it, they can. Whatever. So that is not the subject of this bill at all. These people, actually some irresponsible politicians, try to raise this so as to get an agitation going against the bill. But it's not there in the bill. So that's why when I came out of the parliament, I said that look, either they have not read the bill, or if they have read the bill, they have not understood it, or if they have read the bill and understood it, then they are making wrong statements. In other words, lying.
The other charge, of course, being that you are promoting privatization. Arvind Kejriwal says
Now,
that you are
privatization.
favoring
Yeah,
a few
one by one.
distribution companies.
Okay. Now, again, you see why Kejriwal is uncomfortable is something else. I'll tell you. It's not privatization. Again, there is nothing in this bill which promotes privatization. Nothing. You see, there is a provision which is already there from 2003 for competition. It's already there from 2003. Now, that provision says that more than one company can operate in the same area of supply, and they'll be given licenses. More than one company can be given licenses for operating the same area of supply. The existing act also provides that if there are more than one company operating in the same area of supply, that means where there are multiple companies and there is competition, the state electricity regulatory commission will only fix the ceiling time, so that the competitors, competing distribution companies, can compete on service and also on tariff. Somebody can offer a lower tariff for the people if they are more efficient. So that's the existing provision. So it's not something which we have introduced. It's there. So privatization, my friend, you haven't read the bill, or you haven't understood it, or you lie. There's nothing about privatization there at all. In fact, we are bringing safeguards, which were not there. Now, one safeguard which was not there was that right now we saw, and this is from our experience, we saw in one particular sector, I won't name the sector, that one company, by undercutting others, sort of eliminated a lot of competition. To protect against that, we said that, okay, the State Electricity Regulatory Commission will fix the ceiling tariff, beyond which, if there are more than one competitor in a particular area, distributing business, so they will fix the ceiling tariff.
Okay.
So they will have to compete on tariff. They can't charge more than that. And so now we are providing that they will also fix the minimum tariff, so that some strong company does not charge unviable prices and thereby kill their competitors, because that's what we saw happening in one sector. But this ceiling tariff or floor tariff is just tariff. It has nothing to do with subsidy. The tariff may be what it is. The right of the states can continue giving whatever subsidy they want. So if the minimum tariff, for example, let's say is 3 rupees, and some distribution company is charging 3 rupees, the state will decide that, no, I want this particular category to be charged not 3 rupees but 1 rupee. So they will give 2 rupees as subsidy. Or they can say, I want this particular category to be given free electricity. So they'll, that 3 rupees will be given as subsidy. So the consumer will not have to pay anything.
So basically, you're clarifying that subsidies are not being touched. The bill you're saying is not anti-farmer.
There's nothing about farmers in it.
There's nothing about farmers
Nothing
in
about
it.
farmers in it.
Okay,
They
and
keep getting whatever free electricity they are getting, they'll keep getting whatever subsidy they are getting. If the state government wants to give them more, they can.
okay, and you're saying that competition was provided for earlier
In
itself,
2000,
and so there's
we
nothing
only
new that
provided safeguards.
you've provided
We only
safeguards.
provide safeguards, and we've also provided one more thing. You see, so that nobody, suppose more than one company applies for the same area, we provide a time limit for the regulatory commission, the state regulatory commission, to decide whether to grant that license or to refuse it within a time frame.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Otherwise,
And that time frame being?
as far as I recall, I think it's 90 days or something.
Okay.
And otherwise, it will be deemed that the license has been granted. So we are for promoting competition. There's one more thing. Up till now, the provision was that if there are more than one company operating in the same area, then these companies will build their own lines. Each company will build its own lines. Now that was a waste of resources. So that we have removed. So the existing lines can also be used by any new company, provided he pays for it. You see, there is a wheeling charge. If you use somebody's lines, that's already there because of open access. There is a wheeling charge. You use somebody's line, then you have to pay for it. You pay wheeling charges. So that you have to pay.
That payment security.
That payment security.
Okay.
So the payment security means you have to pay for using
Huh.
that line.
Of course, of
So
course.
in fact, the company which owns the line will get an additional revenue, because if somebody else uses that line, he pays for that,
The-
carrier charges.
Yes,
It's called
okay.
wheeling charge.
Okay.
So this is there. Then there is some other things in the bill, you see, which is important. One is the cyber security. The past, we have faced a number of cyber attacks. We know where they are coming from. Though they mask it as coming from South Korea and Japan, whatever, we know where they are coming from. We have built defenses. Those defenses are withstanding those cyber attacks. But eternal vigilance is actually necessary. You see, we connected the whole country into one grid. That's very, one grid means that if you bring down one corner of the grid, the whole country gets dark. So our cyber defense mechanisms have to be foolproof. So we are empowering the National Load Dispatch Center and the Regional Load Dispatch Center to give directions, etc. So that is necessary. The other thing which we are doing is that we are empowering the state electricity regulatory commissions. The Supreme Court said that in every state regulatory commission there should be one more member of law.
Okay.
So we have provided for that. So one more member will be there. And we are also providing for separate benches so that disputes are resolved faster. And we are giving powers of the civil court to the state electricity regulatory commission. So
Okay.
this is the other amendment which we are providing. And there's another amendment which we are providing. You see, the future is going to be renewable. fossil fuel is going to go because of this environmental concerns. Now, in renewable energy, we've done well, but some states have, achieved more than their target. Some states are way behind their target. We are providing for penalties if you don't, adhere to the trajectories laid down
Okay.
for renewable energy capacity. And these are the major provisions. That's it.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much for explaining to us what exactly is provided for in the bill and clarifying some of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
issues which seem to have caused a little bit of uproar, and there was a lot of contention around it.
That's
So,
politics, yeah.
okay, you say that's politics,
Yeah,
but thank you for
Same thing,
clarifying
actually.
all of that, and of course shedding some light on what exactly is provided for in the bill. So that is of course the Union Power Minister clarifying on the provisions of the Electricity Amendment Bill, which the opposition parties were up in arms about in the Parliament when it was introduced and then referred to the Energy Standing Committee, and of course the subject of freebies, which continues to create a lot of political dialogue at the moment, where the centre's position is very clear that you can provide for freebies as long as you've got it budgeted for and you are transparent about it to the people as well. With camera person Premchand Mishra, Polymita in Delhi for India Today.